Welcome back to Not Too Late with Sebastian Russell. I am Sebastian Russell.
And I'm Mia Holtzman.
Now you may be noticing that we are in the abandoned warehouse, but in reality, we're still in the abandoned warehouse. The guy who owns this building, he built a set because he's doing this upcoming one-man, 8-act play about the unstoppable rise of the Waffle House Corporation.
And if you watched our last episode, we had a little look into our writer's natural habitat.
Ooh, actually, I've been legally advised not to call it that, as several of our writers have quit and even filed complaints about the illegal monitoring of their activities. Whoopsies. Now, while we haven't been canceled yet, we have been ordered to cut down our show and share some screen time with IUSTV's new spin-off show, The Adventures of Duncle and Snephew. In order to get on IUSTV's good side, we're going to have to screen the first scene of the pilot for you all at home right now. So enjoy, or just watch, this exclusive look at the adventures of Duncle and Snephew. And when we return, we'll be joined by the Young Democrats, finally. Oh, is that, sorry, what? Oh, really? Sorry, I'm actually being told that once again the Young Democrats have been sent away, and instead a group that calls themselves the Crimson Post is here. So we'll find out what that is. We'll be right back after Duncle and Snephew.
Oh, Garfield, is there anything you don't hate? Silly Duncle, it's right there in your hand. Are you sure you're not the one in the funny pages? Hey, you only kissed me like that on my birthday. I'll get it. Look, everyone, it's the mailman.
Hey, Snephew, mind if I come in?
Well, you heard him. Come on in, pal.
I'll tell you, Snephew, it's a beautiful day out. Days like these make me glad to be alive. Whoa. He stabbed me! He actually stabbed me!
Roth IRAs.
I'm just here to deliver a letter.
Letter? I'll take it. Oh, let's see what this says. It says, Dear Duncle and Snephew, that's us. We regret to inform you, but your great-dadpa has passed. Didn't even know he was sick. You're left with his entire estate, $500. Sincerely, insert law firm here.
My hospital bills?
I think so too, Duncle. This is going to be the start of some great adventures. Just you and me taking on the world.
I think I'm fading out. Are you supposed to go towards the light or away from it? Welcome back. Today we have with us Kyle Reynolds from the Crimson Post. Thank you for being here, Kyle.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. I guess before we get started, we just wanted to see how you're doing. How are you? You know, it's National Ginger Day, and how are you spending it?
Well, I'm spending it getting ready for I-Corps finals, so not the most exciting day, but
I guess that's what you got to do. You got to get serious sometimes. You can't celebrate a national holiday every day.
you can't. No.
No. All right. So, for those of us who are watching at home who don't know, would you explain to us what the Crimson Post is?
Sure. So we're an independent student publication here. We market ourselves largely through our Instagram following as well as through Facebook. We have a website, of course, as well. We started around 2 years ago now.
Okay.
Can't believe it's been that long, but started with a couple guys that were dissatisfied with the IDS, some other students from groups around campus. We had a few join from College Republicans, from Turning Point USA, different student organizations, and we came together to found this independent outlet that we sort of hoped would represent views that might not have been seen as much in say, the Indiana Daily Student or some of the other university-funded publications.
So when you say independent, is independent like politically or from school? Because you said you had conservatives join, people from Turning Point USA. So
Yeah, we have people from all different political orientations. We do tend to lean right to try to balance out what a lot of people sort of perceive as a left-leaning bias from the IDS. But when I say independent, I mean sort of financially from the university, and financially and editorially.
So, like, because the IDS receives money from the campus, that's not independent, is what you're saying?
I think one of our first articles and one of our first issues was exploring that very subject. And can you truly report on the university objectively when you receive the vast majority of your funding from that source?
Okay.
And we felt that just having to ask that question sort of necessitates a publication on campus that doesn't receive any university funding.
Gotcha. And your first article you said was kind of about that. I guess, like, what caused, was it that specifically, or was there something from the IDS specifically that really got the ball rolling?
So I think it was two different issues that made us think that we needed a new publication on campus. One was when it was announced that the IDS would be receiving this huge amount of money from the media school. And then the second issue was when they published a story referring to Turning Point USA on campus as a white supremacist organization. And we felt that that doesn't really represent our views. It doesn't represent what we feel that organization is. So we decided to found our own outlet to get our voice out there and allow students that were either dissatisfied writers at the IDS or students that had never been involved with that a voice on campus.
Yeah. So you said they claimed that Turning Point USA was a white supremacist group. Where did that come from? Was it just like out of the park? They were like, you guys are white supremacists, or was there something?
For us, it seemed to be somewhat out of the park. They referenced Koch brother funding. They referenced, pulled sort of some quotes from, I believe, the Southern Poverty Law Center, but didn't seem like there was sort of the investigative work that would have been needed to make such an audacious claim.
And they should be better at investigating because they're journalists, which.
Right.
So that's where you.
That was our feeling. They never reached out for us for a comment, despite mentioning us in the article. So we just felt that perhaps there's some lapse in journalistic ethics at the IDS. So we decided to create our own publication.
And you yourself, if this is correct, you're a student ambassador for Turning Point USA.
Campus coordinator.
Campus coordinator.
So
I'm sorry.
Similar, but yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I serve on the executive board for the campus organization.
Yeah. Because that is seen as and I know you said you're right-leaning, but it is, like, Turning Point USA is seen as a conservative news source. Is there a conflict of interest for accurate reporting? Like, do you find that you guys do have bias?
For example, if we do report on Turning Point USA here on campus or something that group is doing, or something I'm doing personally, I always make sure to hand that off to the other editors and reporters and never try to get involved in stories pertaining to that subject matter.
All right.
Because I do feel that then that would create a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Now, as far as the Crimson Post goes, would you consider yourselves to be more journalists, columnists? Like, what would you consider?
So I think we have, for example, our managing editor was a former columnist at the IDS. Mm-hmm. So I think he does mostly opinion work, mostly columns. But then we have other students that don't publish opinion; they solely do investigative reporting.
Okay. Now, so can anyone post an article for the Crimson Post?
Yes, we're open to all students. We welcome any student to pitch us an idea, come to us with something that they would like to see us publish.
Okay. So that does apply to anyone of any beliefs on campus.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We were wondering though, in your the Constitution that is on Be Involved, you do mention that, like, if there is anyone who's posting something that is not traditionally conservative, that you ask that there is a counter argument made or a counter post made on the website. Do you think that serves solely to produce both sides of the story, or would you say that since that is not a standard held to more conservative things, that would be silencing the opinions of other people?
Well, I hope it doesn't silence anyone. I mean, I would hope that having the opportunity to have your viewpoints sort of compared side by side would encourage more students to write for us and sort of create this debate that we feel is sorely lacking on campus. And that's one of the reasons that we have that clause in our Constitution, is to encourage freedom of speech, to encourage debate, and because we feel that in a lot of university publications, a lot of publications that already exist on campus, there is sort of a left-leaning bias. Then we try to counter that with the coverage of our own. So if someone does come to us with a more left-leaning opinion, we're happy to publish it. But then we also want to get the editorial opinion of the paper out there as well.
Now, have you reached out to have any maybe left-leaning journalists reply to some of your articles?
We have. Unfortunately, those responses have never been positive. Usually, we get some sort of disparaging comment back, like we'd never want to write for a paper like this.
Okay.
We've reached out to a couple professors asking them if they'd like to publish an article with us, but it's generally a similar response.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to talk about some current news. The mask mandate is a big thing that's been going on recently. And I know you wrote an article recently.
I did.
About the mask policy. It was an opinion piece, if I remember correctly. And in the beginning of the article, you seemed a little upset that they were getting rid of the mandate now. I think you posed the question, if cases are still relatively high and the CDC is still recommending masking, why has IU chosen now to rescind their mask mandate? But then later on, you seemed a little upset that there was a mask mandate at all, saying that this power should never have been usurped by universities and local governments to begin with, referring to the mask mandate.
Yes.
I'm just trying to
Sort of reconcile the two.
Which is the upsetting?
So I think they're both upsetting. My point was that the mask mandate has seemed very arbitrary from the beginning, and I don't think that the university ever should have taken this power. And the fact that they're now relinquishing it for really what seems to be no reason, they didn't seem to give students a legitimate cause for now it's time to unmask.
I thought the cause was that the COVID cases were declining, and at the time when they first mentioned it, we were still in the red, but because Monroe County, which is where we are, was not saying that for you. Sorry, just for the audience at home, right? They were getting rid of their mask mandate as well because we were in the red, but we were on track to be in orange, and that was acceptable. So I thought that's why they finally rescinded the mask mandate.
And I think it is important to note the trends in COVID cases, but my point that I mentioned in the article was we are still extremely high compared to 6 months ago when the mask mandate was still in full force. So why does the university administration feel that now is the right time to rescind the mandate? What about 6 months ago when cases were even lower?
Okay. And so if we had redone it all, would it have been better with no mask mandate at all? Because while I know there's been research saying that maybe masks aren't as helpful as we really thought, but if it was just we thought it was helpful, was it bad to try that? Or are you saying that the bad part is that they were forcing people?
I think the bad part is that they were forcing people, they were taking that power away from students. Except for a few exceptions, we're all adults here at this campus, and I think we're all pursuing a higher education, so I'd hope that we all have the cognitive ability to weigh the risks and benefits of masking for ourselves, rather than sort of have the university almost act like a parent and say you have to wear a mask whenever you're on our property.
So an institution like IU had this rule.
Yes.
Is it better to follow it if they have this rule, or not follow it when they have this rule that you feel impedes on your rights, if that makes sense? Right.
Well, I think as long as the rule exists, I think you should follow the university's rules. I just don't agree that they should have had that rule in the first place.
Okay, that makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
We also just wanted to ask some more fun questions.
Get to know you.
Yeah. We were wondering if there was maybe a favorite television show or anime or something like that you enjoy.
Just the people get to know who is really in charge.
Well, I am very excited for the upcoming Downton Abbey movie. I've been a fan of that series for multiple years.
Nice.
So it's exciting since I believe it's been delayed a few times now. Very exciting that that's finally about to release. And then, of course, all the new Marvel pictures coming out are all incredibly fun and exciting.
Always. Well, before we wrap up, we wanted to make sure that you felt like you had time to really say everything you wanted. So if there's anything else you have to say to promote your paper and upcoming events, this is the time. Feel free.
Well, I would like to say we are launching a podcast in the near future called The Crimson Corner that will be led by Armando Bracco. Don't know if any of you are familiar with him, but he's a former columnist at the IDS. So we're very excited for that venture and hope to release the first episode in the next few weeks.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Kyle. That's all the time we have. Thanks for stopping by and talking with us. To the viewers at home, stick around because we have a fun surprise announcement. Well, maybe one day we'll actually get the Young Democrats, but today is not that day. And I won't be here for that day because this was my last episode. I've been the host of this show for about 2 years, a co-host for a semester before that, and a writer for the last 4 years. Now, some may say that's too long, and I agree. That's why I'm leaving. I'm not going to get sentimental because the host before me, Tucker Scanlon, he did not get the chance to say his sentimental goodbyes. He didn't have a send-off. So I'm just going to leave you with this. Goodbye.
Well, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.